What's going on, guys? This is Heath.
I'm Tracy.
And welcome to Heath and Tracy TV.
Heath and Tracy TV? I was supposed to say that.
You were supposed to say it.
Okay, let's do it again.
What's going on, guys? This is Heath.
And I'm Tracy.
And welcome to Heath and Tracy TV.
I'm sorry, I know that's weird.
So 300,000 plus views in 3 days. 1,000 plus social media shares. Front page of Yahoo. Like it was like President Trump, something else, and Jasmine. 4,000 plus comments on Yahoo and counting. Not even including the social media engagement. We are interviewing today the author of the blog that has the world talking. It's entitled, I haven't had sex in 5 years. How things have changed. Dreams of Jasmine. Jasmine has a degree in broadcast journalism from Howard University. Whoop, whoop. School of C. Represent. Jasmine has done reporting at the White House and all over the country.
I can't believe you have to read this.
I have like a list.
I know she has such a long resume.
The resume is tight over here. Okay, Jasmine was third place in the national championship in the radio category. So, I mean, Jasmine brings credibility in the radio space from a communications perspective, but obviously, Jasmine's best skill may be that she is a phenomenal writer. And we are so excited to have her here with us today to discuss this hot and relevant topic. Oh, and by the way, Jasmine's our daughter.
Yay! Hey, baby girl.
Hey,
welcome, Jasmine.
Hi, thanks. So nice to see you guys again. It's been so long.
It's been so long. We FaceTime all the time, guys. So this is like not new for us. So this is like a no-brainer. Jasmine, you want to do our first interview?
Our first live interview on Facebook Live. Hey, Jasmine, how'd you like my intro?
That was good, Jad. I think that, you've been looking at my LinkedIn.
What else? What did I leave out, Jasmine? What else should I have included in that?
The world is guessed by now. I love cats. And
Okay.
I'm sorry. I get plenty of it. And I love cats too. So whatever.
We actually had a cat for 19 years.
Sure did.
Stoney, R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Stoney.
That is so funny. So you want to do? You want to?
So
are we moving on?
Mommy's just going to talk to you like I always talk to you.
Sure,
baby.
absolutely.
And I just want to say thank you for doing this. I want to say thank you for being so brave and so transparent. Mm-hmm. I think you helped a lot of people. And I hope that you are okay with what happened. I know you didn't expect that to go viral. I think it's important. And if you guys haven't seen the blog that we're talking about, Jasmine's blog was posted on Yahoo over the last week and everything, and her personal website has had over 400,000 hits by now. And it was a little weird for us because we're used to just like 100 people looking at the blog. So it was a little bit of a wake-up call and a surprise for us. So my first question, Jasmine, was, first of all, I want people to know how long you've been blogging.
Okay, so it all depends on how you look at it. I guess if you go back to like my my journals as a child.
Yes,
right.
Those are hilarious, by the way. I think you should publish those one day.
I might, though. Things I used to say when I knew nothing.
I love you, Justin Bieber. I love you. I want you to marry me.
That was Addison.
That was Addison.
That was Addison.
I'm getting my daughters confused.
I loved Bow Wow. That's why.
Yes. Bow. It's all about me and you.
Yeah, but I had my first blog, like official, like online blog, when I think back in 2011. Mm-hmm. So my very first blog was called All Things, and this will like tie in today. So my very first blog was All Things Etc. All Things Etc. .blogspot.com. It's probably still up because it's free.
Wow.
So it probably is actually, you could still find it. And I
remember that one.
Yeah, because I think I blogged maybe 1 or 2 times and I hated the name. It was too long and like social media was just kind of starting to pop off, and everybody's like, the name is too long. Like, how am I supposed to remember all things, etc.? But I named it that because I wanted to talk about a multitude of things. And so I was like, I'm not just like, you know, a one-dimensional person, and like people can't just relate to me on one level. So I want to like write about a whole bunch of different things. So all things, etc. .com. That's what it needs to be.
Then
I've never been good with titles. Jennifer Thomas, shout out School C, would tell you that. That was all.
JTM Media.
And so then I had ourlovelylives.net.
I remember that one. I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
Our Lovely Lives was like my first, like kind of getting into the swing of things.
Right.
I was probably maybe 2 years after that, like 2013. But I was mainly talking about fashion on there, and I was like, I want to talk about other stuff. Once again, the title, Our Lovely Lives, things that encompass all things life, right? And so then most recently I had Jasmine Fly. And
yeah, that one, I thought that was a departure.
Yeah, Jasmine Fly, I thought was going to be it. I was like, this is the one, like, this is the blog I'll have forever. This is a good name. And it was like a play off the name Jasmine Guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, hi, Brendan. It was a play off the name Jasmine Guy. And
yeah.
Fly, spread your wings, you know. Also,
right.
Someone told me that you need to include your name in your blog. And so that was me trying to incorporate my name. And that's kind of where I started talking about the Lord. I felt just very like strongly about that. So, but then it just didn't feel right. You know, I was like, I don't know, something's just like, it felt right like the day that I made it, and then it like never felt right again. So, yeah, so then like the name Dreams of Jasmine kind of like brought me full circle, right? Like kind of came to me in prayer one day. I was just thinking about all the things that I wanted to do, but I also wanted to talk about these things. And I thought back to my first blog, All Things, etc. And I was like, I think what I meant was like dreams. Like, let's talk about my dreams. And, you know, kind of like I dream of Jeannie. You know, people always call me Princess Jasmine. I don't know. It was just kind of like I wanted something a little more like ethereal and like whimsical.
Right.
And so that's how we got to Dreams of Jasmine, which I started just 4 months ago.
Wow. 4 months in.
4 months ago, but 10 years in the making.
So the title of this viral blog was?
I haven't had sex in 5 years. How things have changed? I think
things have changed. Yes. And so what made you write this? It's really transparent and it's really personal. So what made you write this?
Well, it's something that I talk about like with my friends all the time, you know, like I'm not the only one that I know who isn't having sex. Shocker. And so it was really just things that I had like discussed with my other friends who haven't been having sex particularly the ones who used to have sex. And it was just something that came up. It was a topic of conversation that I've been talking about for years. And so a different thing that I did when I started Dreams of Jasmine was I sat down and like came up with content before I started blogging. Right. And it was one of the first things that I wrote down. Like I just really felt on my heart, like I should probably share this with people. I think this would like encourage some people. But it wasn't the first thing that I blogged about, and I was kind of like, I'll get around to it, and you know, I'll talk about it eventually. But the more practical side of it was I was sitting after work was over. But
work is over.
I was lingering at work, and I was like, I really need to get a blog post up, and I started writing like why I stopped dating. I've had some very like interesting dating encounters in the past couple of months.
Mm-hmm. You do still date.
I do. I've been on quite a few dates recently.
Yeah, it's not hard, is it?
It's not very hard to get a date out here. And so I was kind of like, had like been talking to my friend Kim about like how silly some of these encounters had been. And so I was going to write a blog about like why I stopped dating, because every time I go on a date, I remember why I don't date. Right? And so, yeah. And so as I was writing, it was just really negative. I was like, this sounds like I'm bitter. And I was like, I'm not bitter.
Nope.
Right.
So I don't want to sit here and like bash, you know, my brothers, not my biological brothers. here and just like kind of bash men and like call out everything that's been wrong with every date I've been on.
Right.
To the men, they just weren't it. And that was kind of I kept coming back to the same kind of bottom line. It was repetitive. And so then I went to my list of blogs and that I'd written down, and I was like, I guess I'll write the celibacy one, like whatever. I talked about it so much, and I'd already kind of like outlined it a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, since I already outlined it, let me take the easy way out and I'll just write what I outlined. So that is how
you're feeling lazy is what you're saying.
I was tired, but I have my content ready.
I see you. Okay. That's what's up. So, Jasmine, tell us a little bit about some of the feedback. I mean, I've seen some of the 1,000+ shares in our social media circles. Some of your circles cross with ours, and I've seen a lot of positive feedback. And at the same time, I know so I'm just curious as to what's your perspective on some of the feedback and the things you've seen that have been written about.
Specifically, the positive feedback. We want to hear about the positive feedback first.
Yeah, and I don't mind talking about both because I think
we'll talk about that later. But let's talk about the positive first.
I think ultimately it's all kind of been positive. I think anything that makes people talk and like discuss, things that are maybe more taboo or, things that people can identify with. I don't think that's bad. But yeah, I mean, I have probably gotten maybe close to like 600 or 700 messages at this point that are mostly positive, mainly with people saying, oh my gosh, I've been celibate for 5 years too. You're like my twin. I've had surprisingly, like quite a few men reach out wanting to get to know me better. Saying,
be careful. Be careful. You got to come through this, y'all. Y'all got to come through this, just so you know.
I've had a lot of people say that they've been celibate for longer than I have. I've had a lot of older couples message me, particularly one woman on Yahoo was talking about how she's old and it like pains her to have sex. And so she and her husband haven't had sex in like 15 years or something like that. And she was saying how much joy she's found knowing that their relationship had so much more intimacy than just, sexual intercourse. And so she was like, thank you. Everybody even who's married is not out here having, having sex. And, but mainly a lot of messages from young people or just people in general who have started their journey, who just made a decision a few days ago or just last month to be celibate. And so they were just like, this is crazy. Like this, a lot of people saying that like the Lord led them to my blog, like the other day. A lot of people encouraging me, married people who said that they waited to stay strong. It's definitely been, for the most part, particularly in my inboxes, a lot more positive feedback than negative.
That's encouraging. That's really encouraging. Because once it hit Yahoo, your mother, I started reading everything. And, I wanted to respond to everything. People was like, don't respond. Don't respond.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you don't know who you're talking about. I was about to go in. So I did want to address some of the negative stuff. Let's clarify something. So the first thing I thought was really odd was that they thought that you were talking about your biological brothers. She has two. One is 15 and one is 16. And I think because you said brothers and not brothers, BRUTHAS.
Yes, we get it, baby.
People didn't get it. So can you clarify that, please?
Sure. And, I think it's so funny because I was thinking about it afterward. I was just thinking about like American culture. And then, of course, we're broken into subcultures. And obviously, we're also broken into like racial cultures. And so a lot of times among Black people, we call each other brothers and sisters. Also, within the body of Christ, people at church, someone can be Brother Heath, Sister Tracy. But even still, so I was like, okay, I could see where some people maybe wouldn't get it. But then I thought of like one of the most famous people of all time, right? Michael Jackson. And he has a song and he's like, you dignified my brother. It don't matter if you're Black or white.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Dignified my sister. So I'm like, I just thought that was like silly.
Yeah.
And people, maybe just being a little extra, just really into content.
What about your what I call bilingualism? Your use of Ebonics?
Oh right, yes, people were really about that.
It's like what? So what did you say in the blog that got people going? That they felt was Ebonic like, or that you needed to take English classes, or maybe you need to quit your job behind the counter at McDonald's?
She ain't got no man because her English ain't very good.
No, I'm just an award-winning journalist.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right. Cross-cultural, like there can be like disconnects.
Right.
But the line was like something along the lines of, let me tell you something, when you're celibate, your phone be real dry.
Right.
And that's
be
kind of
real
like,
dry.
For those who
to translate.
For those who were confused by that sentence, I would encourage you to maybe find your closest Black friend and ask them what code switching is, CODE.
Okay.
Switching. It's something that oftentimes people from other races or cultures do in order to fit in certain places.
We do it all the time.
Wow.
So
that's like a whole nother talk in the day.
An entire separate deal.
I think your G-mom calls it. She says, I'm bilingual, honey.
Bilingual, okay? And then to translate what that means,
right.
My telephone, my cellular device, due to the fact that I'm able to better discern maybe the young gentlemen who may or may not have my best interest at heart, tend to contact me less. Or tend to maybe only stay in contact with me for a short period of time. And over the years, as I have strengthened my relationships, and the people who I talk to are not necessarily people I'm romantically interested in. Right. So on the romantic front, my phone be dry.
Jasmine, that was a fantastic explanation.
Thank you for that explanation.
A flood of text messages. Flood, water, wet, dry. There's a lot of text messages coming in from male suitors at all times for me.
The clarity in which you outlined that, Jasmine, was just phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Absolutely.
So is there anything else that you want to clarify? Anything that you want to maybe just talk about in this interview with respect to your experience over the past few days?
Would you write it again?
Yeah, I think that one thing that's I saw quite a few. I haven't gone through all of the comments on Facebook with 1,000 shares. There are plenty.
Yep.
But I kept up with them pretty well. I saw that a lot of people said that I was lying.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right. Why would you lie?
I was lying, and I don't know. I just thought that was so funny. Like, people will believe anything that other people say, but like this random girl on the internet, Also, I think people thought that I was like sharing this because I thought I was so great.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I have to clarify that because I think if you read the blog, you can tell that like I don't think that, but my motive in sharing was really kind of just to encourage anyone who may be doing the same thing, who may be curious about doing the same thing, and to show that it is like more normal than I think a lot of people think. And it was actually, it's more normal than I even thought based on these messages that I'm getting. And I just think that regardless of how you feel about sex, premarital, postmarital, whatever, we are just inundated with it. Yeah. And I just really wanted to share that my life is like still dope, like even though I'm not having sex.
Pretty incredible, guys. It's pretty incredible.
But also there were like things that I had learned from, eliminating something from my life for the time being. Also, a lot of people seem to think that I was in a relationship or that I was like withholding this from someone right now, or like that I was married. That's not the case. I'm single. So, that was interesting. And also I think there was some confusion about like the word celibate versus abstinent.
Right.
I should have looked it up before we got on here, but I think when I looked up celibate, I can't remember if it said abstaining from sex or marriage or both. But also I've gotten a lot of like messages like, do you think this is healthy? And I think it's so funny because there are like monks and
they live to be like 100.
Right. You know, like there are a lot of people for other reasons, like who don't have sex. And like, you know, I told somebody, I was like, I'm, you know, past my last physical, I'm fine. Everything's good. And, you know, like I said in my blog, you know, from like a mental, obviously from a spiritual standpoint, it's been great. Yeah. From like a mental standpoint, I think it's made me stronger because it's always like very encouraging to interact with young men who don't care that I'm not going to have sex with them and are still interested. Sure. So, yeah, I think we cleared up the brother thing. Cleared up the fact that I'm not.
Okay, I'm gonna go there.
Okay, wait. Before you get to that, yeah, I wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, Jazz, I just wanted to really applaud you with respect to the tone and tenor of what you wrote. Right, so exactly to your point, and I've had some personal comments that have been given to me about your article because I did share it on my social media as well. And exactly to your point, I've had several people say to me that it was not preachy at all. And I loved what her approach was. And to the point of whether or not you're into that kind of thing or not, however you feel about sex, premarital, post, to each his own. But applauding her for her stance and how she approaches it. So, I mean, I just think that you should really be applauded for the tenor of what you wrote.
And that goes to my next question, Jazz, about that. What would you say to non-believers? Because I think a lot of people, I read a lot of people say, oh, when she started talking about God and that, you know, book of fables, I stopped listening. And I wanted you to address that a little bit too.
Yeah. I would, Christianity is not the only faith that talks about this.
Right.
And so that was interesting just because, you know, it's not super uncommon, particularly when it comes to faith. And also, I think for me, I would say to those people, I would just challenge people like in this time of do what makes you happy, do what pleases you. You know, people were kind of acting like, I just did this because God said to do it. And I think we all know good and well that everybody who believes in God or, you know, Jesus or Allah, whoever it is that we all do things that maybe don't honor what we say we believe. That's common among everyone. Even if you just have like a moral compass that you follow, you probably still don't always follow it as much as you should. Right. And so, yeah, I did kind of write it to my fellow, you know, celibate believers. And I think that was great to get feedback from people who weren't believers because I honestly didn't even think that many people weren't reading my blog. And so days ago, at the same time, back to, you know, do what makes you happy and a woman's body, you know, a woman is able to do what she wants with her body. I just thought it was a little contradictory. In a time where we just really encourage people to be who they are. And I put myself out there and I shared about me being who I am. Right. And I just thought it was interesting that I got a lot of backlash for it. So I would just challenge those people to practice what they preach. And, you know, if you think that people should be able to live their lives how they want to live it, then why does it matter whether I'm having sex or not having sex? And yeah.
So do you feel like the reasons that you're celibate are they just biblical?
No, I think first I told a couple of people who messaged me, like, if I had read my blog like 8 years ago, I'm like, this girl is crazy. Like,
right.
Thing. Yeah. Even like, you know, I talk about in another blog post, like the first time I even thought about the concept of like being celibate, I was in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, and definitely didn't start being celibate at that point. And so for me, it was a heart change. Like it was a very personal thing. It was not something that I started the day that I got saved, the day that I surrendered my life to the Lord. Mm-hmm. Just over time, as I have gotten to know Christ and as I have, you know, really just walked with him,
right.
The desire to put myself in a situation with a young man who may or may not want to marry me, or, says he wants to marry me today, but tomorrow he doesn't, has just become unappealing. And I also just like found so much joy in a lot of other things that on a minute to minute, day to day basis, I'm just not really like thinking about sex that much. Don't get me wrong. I still think about it, and don't get me wrong, like it's going to be a great day when I can have it again. But at the same time, it's like, I just have filled my life with so many other things. I've become fulfilled in so many other ways.
Right.
That I'm okay. And I just, the peace of Christ has just kind of reigned in so many other things and so many other areas of my life.
Yeah.
And so it's just not, I want to do it, in the way that I want to do it now, and it just happens to be aligned with what I believe is the Lord's will for my life.
Right. I had another question about I saw the response from a lot of men. That was a little surprising. It almost was angry. And, you're a feminist, and this is what, and I don't think I was a feminist, and I don't think I raised you to be a feminist. Would you call yourself a feminist?
I am for women, and I'm for the advancement of women, and I'm for the equality of women.
Equality, yes.
And all people, I am different marginalized groups, and women happens to be one of them. And I also believe very strongly in the ability to make a choice. I believe that a part of love is that you choose to love people, you choose to love in general. God loved us, and I chose to love him back. And so, I was a little, I don't know, after some of the things for this past election, having, a female presidential candidate, I think that kind of like showed me where the mindset of some men is in this country. But yeah, I was still a little surprised, but it was also a little contradictory because some of the comments, particularly on Yahoo, were like, this girl just used to be a whore and is like, using, Jesus to cover it up. And then like some of the other comments were like, backtrack. Some people, it was like on one side, I used to be a whore, which is why I'm now celibate.
Right.
But you just called me a whore. I was like, which one do you want? Like, do you want women to choose to have sex and have sex with whoever all the time? Or, like, do you want women, like, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you want me to do, like.
Right. That's the bottom line. I think that's the bottom line.
And if, you don't even know me. So I thought that was very interesting. It was, yeah. But I got a lot of love from a lot of women, and even the women who weren't necessarily down for it were, like respect. And I got a lot of very kind messages from men, more than I was expecting, I think, and not just, trying to slide up in their DMs. But I'm like, cool. I've been doing this too. I've been celibate too. I'm so glad, that you were, bold enough to say something about it. So,
So are you waiting for marriage?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's nice. Did you have another question?
No, to me, it just sounds like that you're a very grounded person. You obviously have been reared in a fantastic environment by people who encouraged you to... Oh my God. So what's next for you, Jasmine?
What's on your list? Mommy wants to know.
Oh yes.
I'm a pusher, guys. I'm a pusher.
Yes, I'm a pusher. I push people.
Am I? Do I? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, for sure. It's not a good thing. I think I push people sometimes too. I push so many people with this blog. I just shoved it down their throats. I totally made them read it and made them hear it. So more blogging, obviously. Putting up a blog post tomorrow. Okay.
People should follow you then, right? They should
follow you where?
Should they subscribe to your blog or something, Jay?
Yeah, if you go to Dreams of Jasmine, Jasmine.
Look at that.
patreon.com. There should be a pop-up that says, do you want more? Got tons of people who have already subscribed, and you'll get a notification. Or if it doesn't pop up for you, because I think I have like a time limit on how many times you come that day or whatever, you can just scroll to the bottom of any post and you can subscribe there.
Awesome.
And you can find, hey, Auntie Christy.
Hi, Auntie Christy.
Yeah, and I'm going to do some more blogging. I think I'm going to have to make a few YouTube videos because I got a lot of like the same questions. And I have too many messages to answer everyone. Because like just as quickly as I'm answering them, they're coming in. So there were a couple of topics that I thought would be good to maybe carry on the conversation. So I'll probably make a few videos about those on my YouTube. Also, I'm putting together some like docu-style journalism type pieces about other people's stories and some things that I've just seen that are maybe not being as talked about in the mainstream. So some journalism pieces that I want to put together. And I'm going to work tomorrow.
Yeah, the 9 to 5.
The 9 to 5.
So, yeah, and hopefully just connecting with people, some of the people that have reached out to me, and, you know, carrying on some conversations that I've been having with them, and still responding to like as many messages as I can. So, yeah.
Are you interested in speaking or a book or anything like that? I mean, I just see so many questions in there. It looks like so many people need so much help.
Yeah. I have gotten quite a few like questions about whether I already have a book, whether I already speak. So of course, you know, I'm open to those things. And, you know, I have wanted to do these things for a while. I don't think I necessarily saw myself like speaking at places, more so just interacting people. So I'd love to connect with people in person. And so if that's the way that it, you know, can be done, then I'm absolutely open to that. And yeah, writing more blogs, write some books. Fun fact, I have like a ton of people who read it and shared it in Africa. And I was like, this is so dope. Like,
I think that is so cool how the internet can make things global so fast.
That is a beast. Like, it is just so crazy. So this one really sweet girl was like, are you coming to Kenya soon? Like, and I was just like, sure, you know.
I'll come.
Yeah, girl, I'm coming to Kenya. She was like, if you ever come to Kenya, I would love to hear you speak. So like, you know, I'm a talker, that's for sure. I can talk.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. The house is different when you're home. Well, I didn't have anything else. Did you, dear?
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing, Jasmine. I've had some of my friends, I actually had one of my friends in India reach out to me and say that he read the blog and he was riveted. Say he was hanging on to every word of the blog, and it was it was fantastic.
Shout out to India. That's so cool.
Yes, that's what's going on. Global reach right now, worldwide.
I would like to ask you all a question.
Yes.
Well, and maybe we'll have to make a separate video about it because I don't want it to be too long, but maybe the quick version from each of you. You know, I had a lot of people, like, they loved the fact that I was like, so yeah, hey mom, you know, if you're, you know, interviewing me about this exact thing. But I think what I found was that a lot of people thought it was so crazy that I would mention my mom in a blog where I was talking about sex. And, you know, a lot of people told me that they are grown and they still haven't talked to their parents about sex. So I would love to hear why you all thought that it was important to talk to me about sex, why you all aren't like even afraid to sit here and talk to me about it right now. For those with children or those with parents.
Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and take. You want me to go ahead and take that?
Go right ahead, my
I just think it's really important to raise young people to be confident with themselves. And in this day and age, when they're getting so many different messages from everywhere else, what is it I used to say to you guys? Where'd you get that from? A 12-year-old? You know, I always felt like I don't want a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old or somebody else educating my child about their body or what to do with their body or whatever. You know, and what I recall when you first started having sex, I think we were very open with one another. I'm that mom. I'm that chick. I think I'm here for you. You came through me. You didn't come from me. You came through me. So I was blessed for you to come through me. And I just feel an utter responsibility in showing you how this all works out here. I made mistakes when I was young. And you know what my thing is. Please don't do what I did, you know? And I think you guys know my whole life, you know, everything I've done and shouldn't have done. And I just think when you do that with your kids, I don't think they look at you differently. I don't think they disrespect you. I think you almost get a validation from them, wouldn't you say? I think then when I say, don't do this, don't do that, they can relate to that period in their life. Because come on, guys, those of us who are 50 plus, I remember when I was her age like it was yesterday, you know, and the whole casual sex thing, I didn't want my kids doing that. I don't want my sons doing it. I don't want my daughters doing it. So it was something that I put at the forefront of our conversations when I thought it was time. And point blank, ask them, are you having sex? I just did. Are you having sex? Okay, who are you having sex with? Okay, are you doing this? Can I convince you not to have sex? You know, how many times I try to, you need to really stop doing that. You know, I don't know how many times I said, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. You don't want to do that, you know, and it's okay. People have to learn themselves. But I think as parents, we're responsible. I think we're responsible for these things happening to our kids. Yeah, at a certain point you're not. But when they're formative years, you got to open your freaking mouth and say something. Don't let your kid go jump off a cliff because you think they need to learn something. Grab them, yank them and say, don't do that. Don't do that because, and that is how I raise my kids. So Jasmine and I have talked about sex for a while now.
Since I was 8, actually. That was when I got to talk.
Yeah, I just think it's important. You think about when all the hormones stop popping and kids are thinking about stuff and looking at people, and then they go to school every day, and there's crap at school. Like I said, I used to ask you, don't listen to a 12-year-old. They don't know anything, you know? And I think it's just important, especially your daughters and your mother. You got to let them know this is how a man is supposed to treat you in bed. This is how he shouldn't treat you in bed. What you should be looking, what you shouldn't do, what you should do, and
you should be married to.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. We didn't wait. That's how come you're here. We didn't wait.
Yeah. So my parents were married.
Ever.
My parents were married for 47 years. This month, Trace and I will be married 27 years. And so we had that model that we were always able to look to and respect. And we have all types of aunts and uncles and cousins and people who've had long-standing relationships. And so, you know, we understand what a healthy relationship looks like. And certainly the world is so different today than it was 20, 30, 40 years ago, right? So I think that what you're doing, Jasmine, really is something to be applauded. And certainly I've heard people make arguments about, you know, there are health benefits to sex and those kinds of things. But, you know, there are health benefits to eating chicken, pig, and that kind of thing too. But the way our food supply is today, you have to be more cognizant about what you eat and how you eat it, and it's just different than it was 40, 50 years ago, right? And so I think the analogy applies to you and the world that you live in, and how technology has changed, how the global health scenario has changed.
You got to be transparent with your kids. You
literally can have a death sentence by sleeping with someone one time.
Yeah,
which is very different than the world that we experience.
Well, we did a little bit of it, but the point of it is, parents, you got to talk to your kids. I don't care how old they get. Don't let them walk off a cliff and just say, oh, they're grown now. Or don't think your 8-year-old is too young. Trust me, they're getting the information somewhere. Yeah. And it's best if you're responsible for that. You know, it's best that you make sure that, okay, if somebody's going to be telling them about sex, it needs to be me. They don't need to get it from the dude trying to get in their pants or the girl trying to do stuff in the bathroom to them in middle school. They don't need to learn that way. They need to learn from you. So if you haven't talked to your kids yet, if you think they're too young, stick your toe in the water. Stick your toe in the water and say,
proactive,
be proactive, not reactive. Reactive sucks.
Preventative maintenance, man. Get out in front of it.
And then I would say to your young friends, I would bring up the subject with my parents. I would say, hey, I got a question. I'm having an issue with this. What do you and dad do? Or ask the question. I think that's we've had those conversations, haven't we, Jazz?
Probably too.
So, yeah, we've had some pretty interesting conversations. But I mean, my thing is, if you can't have that conversation with me, who you gonna have it with?
Yeah,
that's the way I feel about it.
Well, great question, Jasmine. Fantastic answer, Queen Tracy. Have we finished up today? Did we talk about everything we wanted to talk about?
Thanks for being our first interview, Jazz.
You were a great interview, Jazz.
I owe you one.
Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Love you. And everybody, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining Heath and Tracy TV today. We're going to go ahead and upload this. Don't forget to share it out. Don't forget to like our page, Heath and Tracy, at Heath and Tracy on Facebook. Jasmine is at Dreams of Jasmine. Do you have your Facebook page? At Dreams of Jasmine.
My Facebook page. Ooh. I'll be inviting people. Go to my blog, Dreams of Jasmine.
Go to dreamsofjasmine.com if you want to know more about Jasmine and read more of her award-winning skills. And what else? Oh, follow us on YouTube also. So we have a YouTube channel, Heath and Tracy TV. And I think, Jasmine, do you have a YouTube channel?
Everything's on Dreams of Jasmine. If you go to Dreams of Jasmine, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Hello to all of my new subscribers.
Nice.
And followers. It's crazy.
All right. I like it.
Thanks, guys. Love. Bye, loves.
Take care, guys.
Bye.